Okay, good evening, everybody, and thank you for joining us tonight to learn more about the Vote Yes for a Safe Massachusetts campaign. My name is Caroline Ellis. I have volunteered with various gun violence prevention groups and am a member of the Legislative Action Committee for the League of Women Voters of Massachusetts as the Legislative Specialist for Gun Violence Prevention. And with me tonight is Jen, the Legislative Advocacy Chair. So thank you, Jen. Jen's just going to be keeping an eye on the chat and running the slides and handling some of the logistics. And also, if you have any questions, if you could just hold them for a little bit later. Okay, next slide, please. So this is an information session about the Massachusetts 2024 law and Act Modernizing Firearms, the effort to repeal the law through a ballot question this November, and the campaign to uphold Massachusetts laws. And just in case Zoom crashes or you suddenly have to leave or your cat jumps on the keyboard, let me just share the most important takeaway now. We want you to vote yes in November. The wording of the ballot is such that we want you to vote yes. So next slide. And now that that's out of the way, so here is tonight's agenda. I'll share a little bit of background about how Enact Modernizing Firearm Laws came to be. I'll take a closer look at what the law says, why the law is so important for Massachusetts and why we want to defend it. And finally, I will talk a little bit about the Vote Yes for a Safe Massachusetts campaign and what you can do. Next slide. So I wanted to provide just a little bit of context for the law and how it came to be, especially since a lot of our volunteer colleagues played a key role, and maybe some people on the call did as well. So first, let's talk about the Supreme Court's Bruin decision. This was in June of 2022, which was a pretty busy month for the Supreme Court. In New York State Rifle and Pistol Association versus Bruin, the Supreme Court invalidated a key provision of New York's concealed carry law that forced applicants to demonstrate proper cause to carry a firearm in public. Not only did it strike down that specific requirement, the ruling also established a new legal standard. And that legal standard is that all modern gun regulations must align with historical gun regulations. The League of Women Voters had some things to say about this. And among the points they made was that the decision gave too much discretion to the states and that the guns would continue to evolve, but the regulations would not. Next slide. The Supreme Court did rule, however, that states retain the authority to mandate public carry licenses and the authority to prohibit guns in sensitive places. However, the ambiguity of the court's ruling has led to a wave of lawsuits against state gun regulations. And as of December 2024, there had been over 2,000 challenges to laws. And also, national gun violence prevention groups called on states to update and strengthen their gun safety laws in response. Next slide. And Massachusetts said challenge accepted. In the wake of the Bruin decision, the Massachusetts House began a comprehensive review of the state laws and in early 2023 launched a listening tour across the state. This was led by Representative Michael Day, chair of the Joint Committee on the Judiciary. These were very well attended by people on both sides of the issue, and maybe some of you even attended one of them. I was at the one in Brockton. And as you can see, the tours covered a range of topics, including impacted communities, recreational use, like for hunting, etc., domestic violence, and suicide. Gun violence is a very complex issue, and the legislator wanted to study every possible facet and hear from the communities. An omnibus bill was introduced in the legislature in the fall and passed overwhelmingly. The final bill number was 4885, and the League of Women Voters in Massachusetts supported it all along. When it was signed into law, it was Chapter 135. or the Acts, Chapter 135 of the Acts of 2024. So if you hear people talking about the Firearms Omnibus Bill or H4885 or Enact Modernizing Firearm Laws or Chapter 135, it's all the same thing. But I just wanted to clarify that it's known by several different things, some more formal than others. Next slide. And when it was signed, and also when the Senate took the vote a week prior, the League of Women Voters was there. Jen and I were both there to watch it happen, both the final vote and the signing of the bill. So there's Jen with Governor Healy, and I'm somewhere on outside of the frame of the photo. That's okay. But the governor is wearing orange, which is the color of the gun violence prevention movement. And I mentioned Michael Day, who was kind of leading the listening tours, and he was the main architect of the bill. But I also want to give a shout out to Senator Cindy Cream, who's also in the photo because she was the lead sponsor of the Senate version of the bill. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. So now we'll just take a closer look at the law. I want to say gun violence is a very complex issue, one requiring a very comprehensive approach, and Enact Modernizing Firearm Laws reflects that both in the range of what it legislates and also in its length. It is over 100 pages long. I am not going to go into great detail on all of it. I'm just going to share some of the key points. And also, I am a volunteer and not a legal scholar, so just I'm more of an overview tonight. So here are 8 key points from the new law, and I'm just going to read this right off the slides. 1, the state now regulates ghost guns for the first time. Firearm licensing laws have been strengthened. The Extreme Risk Protection Order Law has been updated and expanded. The state will seek to identify expanded funding for community violence intervention. The law enhances gun violence data collection so that we can identify the source of firearms in impacted communities. The law bans devices and modifications that turn semi-automatic weapons into fully automatic machine guns. The law prohibits the carrying of firearms in polling places and in government buildings. And the law ensures that gun dealers are inspected regularly and accurately. And I will expand on each one of these a little bit. Okay, so first regarding ghost guns. A ghost gun is a do-it-yourself homemade firearm made from easily available building blocks or from products such as 3D printers. The issue with ghost guns is that they have no history or sales records. They are made up of parts that can be acquired without a background check. They are unserialized and therefore untraceable, and they evade laws that licensed manufacturers and sellers must follow. So, of course, they are the guns of choice for prohibited purchasers. They make it very hard, if not impossible, for law enforcement to investigate crimes. They are also the fastest growing gun safety problem in the United States. Now, even though the ATF issued some regulations in 2022 and those were upheld by the Supreme Court a few years later, there continues to be very inconsistent enforcement across the country. However, with an act modernizing firearm laws, Massachusetts is now one of 15 states that regulates ghost guns. So the new law bans the possession, manufacturing, and selling of ghost guns. Can you go back, Jen? Okay. There we go. It bans the possession, manufacturing, and selling of ghost guns, including the frames and the receivers. And that's because the definition of firearm has been brought in to include unfinished frames and receivers that can be readily assembled into a functional firearm. All firearms and key components, such as the frames and receivers, manufactured and assembled in Massachusetts must be serialized and registered with the state. And if they are sold, it must be sold through licensed dealers, which means that a background check is required. Next slide. No person can use a 3D printer or any other device to assemble a firearm unless they have a valid license to carry. Also, anyone who manufactures or assembles one must serialize and register the firearm within 7 days. And there are serious penalties for creating, possessing, or transferring ghost guns, from fines to probation to jail time. Next is how the law strengthens licensing laws. So in 2025, only 10 states, including Massachusetts, require gun purchasers to complete any type of safety training. And those state trainings don't necessarily include live fire training, but there are states that require live fire trainings that do not require safety trainings. So there aren't a lot of states that require both. And that's partially because there are no federal laws that require any sort of firearm safety training. Under the new law, there is now live fire training. The law also creates a standardized basic firearms safety course set by the Massachusetts State Police in consultation with the Municipal Police Training Committee. And finally, the law raises the minimum age for purchasing a semi-automatic rifle and shotgun from age 18 to 21. But before we go on, I can't see your faces, but a few minutes ago I mentioned that there had already been a lot of challenges to state laws after the Bruin decision, and this is now the age limit, or the minimum age is already in the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court. So there's that. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, strengthening ERPOs. Okay, it's extreme risk protective order. ERPOs are sometimes called red flag laws, and they are founded on the idea that when it comes to gun violence, tragedy can be prevented before it happens, if there is a person in crisis with access to a firearm. And the Massachusetts ERPO law allows certain individuals to petition the court for the temporary removal of firearms, ammunition, and the license to carry from a person who displays warning signs of being a serious risk to themselves or to others. It is a civil judgment and not a criminal one. And as of 2025, 21 states, including Massachusetts, have passed these laws. Massachusetts ERPO law was passed in 2018, and Jen and I were both there. It was a League of Women Voters of Massachusetts supported bill. And under the original law, ERPOs could be filed by household members and law enforcement. With an act modernizing firearms, ERPO has now been expanded to allow licensed healthcare providers and school administrators to file. Healthcare providers include physicians, nurses, and mental health counselors. And if the respondent is enrolled in school, an administrator can now file an ERPO. There has also been some clarifying language added. For instance, if a judge can renew an ERPO upon petition, and also that someone who currently has an active ERPO cannot obtain a new license while the ERPO is in effect. So just some clarifying pieces of information. Okay, next one. Okay, funding for community violence intervention. Okay, this is daily community gun violence is the overwhelming driver of firearm homicides. And gun violence is not distributed equally in the US. The majority happens in under-resourced areas of poverty, income inequality, low educational attainment, and racially segregated areas. Local programs and community organizations are very well suited to address the unique causes of local violence. Federal funding in 2024 provided substantial resources for violence prevention in local communities, including Massachusetts. Unfortunately, in 2025, millions of these funds for violence prevention were cut nationwide. Massachusetts legislators have long recognized the importance of the CVI programs and have a good history of allocating state funding so that the work can continue. Some examples of CVI include street outreach, hospital-based programs, and simple things like cleaning public spaces or greening the physical environment to positively influence the community. So an act modernizing firearm laws calls for the establishment of a special commission, which has now been established, to evaluate and recommend improvements to the state system for funding violence prevention service. The law also created a dedicated violence prevention federal reinvestment trust fund to finance CVI programs. However, funding has since been cut. And the trust fund is managed by the Executive Office of Health and Human Services. And this is just one more way that the Act Modernizing Firearm Laws is holistic and comprehensive in its focus by investing in community-based efforts as well as strengthening gun safety measures. Okay. Next one, data collection and accessibility. I this one's extra cool to me. I guess one, because I'm a nerd, and two, because this is the culmination of years of advocacy for a crime gun data bill that was in the legislature for a long time and also supported by the league. Data collection and analysis can help protect public safety. If the data is thorough and focused, it can provide reliable pictures of local gun violence and allow stakeholders to respond more effectively to it. And there are so many ways to reduce gun violence, but not all of them may be appropriate for every city or town. So local context should always be included. And it's a surprisingly low number of cities that publish local gun violence dashboards, or at least on a monthly basis. However, the law now mandates data collection on firearm crimes, including non-fatal shooting, as well as data on licensing. And this is managed by the Office of Public Safety and Security, and they are also going to examine purchasing patterns as they relate to guns used in connection with a crime. And the pièce de résistance is the public dashboard. So the dashboard is designed to improve public access to firearm-related data and can inform discussions about and policies related to gun safety in Massachusetts. And if Jen, can you click on it now? This is the dashboard. Uh-oh. Is it showing up?
Can you see it? It's showing for me. Is it not
I
showing for
can't
you?
see it. Okay, but
Okay.
okay. All right. So if you scroll down a little bit, so at the top of the dashboard, it shows you all of the reliable sources that provide the information. Some of them are state, some of them are federal. And also as you scroll
Let me see
down,
if I can,
some
if I can
statistics
bring
are
it up.
by
Sorry.
county and others are by municipality.
Can
Oh,
you see
there we
it?
go. Okay,
Okay.
yes. Okay.
It's not letting me scroll right now. Oh, here we go.
Oh, there
There we
we
go.
go.
Sorry.
Okay. Those are all the different places where they get the data. And this may be something that you just want to explore on your own later. So some are by county, some are by municipality, whatever's appropriate. And you can find everything from information about firearm incidents by town to information about license applications by town. And so it's on the mass.gov website and it will be updated quarterly. Okay. So, a quick background on this one. The federal assault weapons ban was passed in 1994 for a period of 10 years. And when Congress did not renew the law in 2004, assault weapons and high-capacity magazines were suddenly legalized unless they were banned by state or local laws. In Massachusetts, the assault weapons ban has been in place since 1998. This is a pretty evidence-based way of supporting mass shooting injury and deaths because these firearms are frequently used in such violence. Massachusetts is one of 10 states, along with DC, that ban the sale, manufacture, and transfer of assault-style firearms. An act modernizing firearms bans conversion devices such as bump stocks and Glock switches that are designed to make semi-automatic weapons more lethal by shooting faster. Under the new law, silencers are now banned, and the definition of silencer has been updated to include the parts used to construct a silencer, effectively banning those as well. And the law also includes a list of specific firearms that are banned. Okay. Those sensitive places are those locations where guns can be prohibited without violating Second Amendment rights. They can be designated as gun-free without violating anyone's right to bear arms. The Heller case and Supreme Court case in 2008 um, established that schools and government buildings are sensitive places, and the Bruin case expanded that list to include government buildings and polling places. And there is a high risk that allowing guns in legislative buildings and polling places can chill First Amendment rights and intimidate voters. An act modernizing firearm laws expands the definitions of sensitive places in Massachusetts from the ones that were already designated as sensitive places prior to the law. So it now includes government buildings, including state level, federal level, and municipal buildings, and polling places, including vote counting sites. Airports, public transportation, and school grounds were already designated as sensitive places before. Um, and also, unfortunately, part of the fine print in the law is that individual municipalities can opt out of having municipal buildings be gun-free zones. And this has actually happened. I know Rochester is a town that's done that, and Plymouth tried and it failed. But that is just something to be on the lookout in your own community if there's ever buzz about trying to opt out of that requirement. Okay. Gun dealers. Okay. While the majority of gun dealers are law-abiding, there are a dangerous few who illegally funnel guns and account for a large proportion of crime guns. And this situation is enabled by the limited federal regulation and oversight of gun dealers and a very, very understaffed ATF. So it's up to the states to fill in these gaps. Inspections ensure that gun dealer compliance with laws, that gun dealers are complying, and it helps prevent illegal sales, gun trafficking, and straw purchasing. Under the new law, local firearm licensing authorities may now transfer their duty to inspect firearm dealers to the state police. So if local authorities opt out of inspections, the state police will do them for them annually. And the dealers are also required to keep more thorough records, and they're also required to confiscate and report any licenses that are expired or suspended. And so those were the highlights of the law. And again, it's over 100 pages. That was just some of it that are like the bigger points, and there is much more. Okay, next slide. So in terms of why we need the law, I think a lot of the bits and pieces speak for themselves. Um, but I will bring up just a few things first. So it was supported by a broad coalition of groups, including the Chiefs of Police Association, the Massachusetts Medical Society, and more, like just different professional groups. It also had the support of national gun violence prevention organizations such as Brady, Everytown, and Giffords. Of course, it was supported by the League of Women Voters of Massachusetts, and both the Massachusetts League and the League of Women Voters of the United States have many positions relevant to parts of the law. So the league, so these are the League of Women Voters in Massachusetts positions. I won't read that whole thing, but this is straight out of where we stand. And just go through all that about handguns and just improved licensing procedures, limiting access, educating the public. Okay. And then next are the US positions, regulating firearms for consumer safety, check. All right, moving on. So I mentioned before that the law had the support of national gun violence prevention organizations, including Giffords. And if you're not familiar with Giffords, it is a gun violence prevention organization founded by former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords and her husband, U.S. Senator Mark Kelly. Giffords publishes an annual scorecard, an annual analysis and rating of gun law strength in each state called the Gun Law Scorecard. Massachusetts is now, for the first time, one of only 5 states with the highest gun law scorecard rating of an A, along with California, New Jersey, Connecticut, and New York. Prior to Enact Modernizing Firearms in 2024, we had earned no better than an A minus. So we now rank above the best in terms of gun law strength, or among the best, excuse me. The graphic on the right is our most recent scorecard. And you can see we are 49 out of 50, so the second safest state. Hawaii just passed us. This year we were number 1, but the Aloha state is the place to be for more reasons than one, I guess. And those statistics are based on gun deaths per 100,000 people. And I have to say, even though we are one of the safest states, our statistics represent a statewide average. And of course, there are communities in Massachusetts that are very disproportionately impacted by gun violence. Okay, next slide. And just in case we needed a reminder that gun laws save lives, there's an article right there. The better the laws, the safer the state. So, Jen, I don't know if you can click on that for a second. It's just a very nice visual from every town, um, linking stronger gun laws to better safety and lower death rates.
Sorry about that. One moment.
That's okay.
There we go. Are you able to see that? Let's see.
Yes.
Great.
It's just a nice picture. The blue is the strength of the gun laws, and the red is the gun violence rate. So the more blue, the less red. And when you go down to the bottom, it's the opposite. The less blue, the less strength, the more red. I like how they name the bottom.
National
National
failure.
failures. Okay. I think that's a really helpful visual. So as we can see, Massachusetts is one of the safest states. And do we really want to give this up if the voters vote to repeal the current law? Okay. And now let's talk about the campaign to defend the law. I don't want to spend much time talking about the opposition. I'd rather not talk about them at all, but I do need to say just a little bit about them. They wasted no time collecting signatures after the law was passed in July 2024. By November, they had collected over 78,000 signatures to initiate the petition, more than double the number required. They are calling themselves the Civil Rights Coalition because they believe that the 2024 law is, and I quote, the greatest attack on civil rights in modern US history, which knowing other civil rights attacks that happen in modern US history and that's what they would say. They are loud, they will stop at nothing, and we cannot let them win. And they are going to have their yard signs, and we have to vote yes. So, okay, next slide. Meanwhile, the Vote Yes for a Safe Massachusetts campaign is led by the Massachusetts Coalition to Prevent Gun Violence, with the coalition's executive director, Ruth, serving as chair. Field First, a consulting firm, is managing the campaign. Okay, so more specifically, here is what you can do. Next slide, please. Okay, so first of all, vote yes on November 3rd. Next, you can sign up to get involved and stay updated. There's the website right there. The website has information about the law too. And when you sign up, you get information about upcoming events. There's social, and also they'll give you calls to action, upcoming events. I also put their Facebook and Instagram. The Instagram account is new, as of just a week or two ago, but their Facebook account is going strong. So hopefully, if you are on one of those, you can follow it, like it. But the more you share and engage with their posts, the more the campaign is amplified. And their socials are very active already. And there is going to be a virtual campaign briefing on Wednesday, March 18th. And if you sign up or follow their social media accounts, you will see the links to register. And oh, yep, it is on the flyer on the next page. Note that special guest, Gabby Giffords. So that is probably very, very well worth attending. Um, so that is on next Wednesday, March 18th. Next slide. The campaign is doing another initiative um, with pledge cards where you can share them with people to educate them about the law a little bit. There's a QR code for them to get involved. They and the person can say like, yes, I will make a yard sign. I will tell my friends. I will volunteer with the campaign. Um, and then those can be mailed in. And I am going to share this information in a document shortly. But this is something you can share with like-minded individuals if you're going to like a coffee meetup or any place where you think someone in your circle would like to learn more about it and they may not know about it and you can educate. It's what they call relational organizing. Um, Next slide. You can also help connect the campaign with friendly organizations. You may have noticed on the campaign website, I was going to go to that. That's okay. But on the campaign website, there is an endorsement form for organizations. If you have a close relationship with an organization and feel strongly that you can secure an endorsement, you may reach out to that organization and have them go straight to the website and click the endorse button. I know that at the last meeting I went to, they were particularly interested in getting more faith organizations to sign on and endorse, just if you have any connections to those. But they would love to get more endorsements from organizations. They do already have quite a few. The list of endorsing organizations has not been publicly released. There's going to be, I think, a big press release, but it should be on the website in the next few weeks. One thing you do not need to do is have your local league sign on to endorse. The League of Women Voters in Massachusetts has already endorsed the campaign, and that state level endorsement covers all the local leagues, excuse me. Also, the campaign is planning training sessions for ambassador speakers to visit friendly, supportive organizations. So if you have ties to any groups, if you're in any groups that you think might be receptive to a speaker, just a brief presentation, probably not as long as this one, please get in touch at info@yesforasafemay.com. Did I get everything? Okay, so coming soon, volunteer trainings and spokesperson trainings because we want people to be able to like go out and really talk up the campaign. And there are also going to be canvassing trainings too. Also coming midsummer is merchandise. At the very least, there will be yard signs, but we'll see what the budget is. And the reason the merchandise isn't available yet or has been designed yet is because we don't have the number for the ballot question yet. Once the Secretary of State releases the ballot number, then they'll be able to put it on everything. And finally, I put together a little document. These are resources that you can use to spread the word to your network. Jen, can you click on that?
Sure. Hold on 1 second. Just stop
Okay,
share for a
thank you.
second and oh, can you
Okay,
see it?
there we go.
Okay. Yep.
Here. And then, and after we look at this, Jen, can you put the link in the chat?
Sure.
Um, so these are just a few resources. So at the top is a link. Oh, first of all, that's the contact information if you'd like to order pledge cards. Um, you can contact Allison at Field First. She's kind of the person who's been spearheading the campaign, and just let her know how many you need. The next link, it says vote yes, general handout. Can you click on that, Jen, too? Is that going to mess up the screen sharing? Okay.
Can you see it?
Oh, there we go. Yes.
Okay,
So
good.
there's a one pager that you can make copies of and share with people that you think might be interested. And that I did not make this, the campaign did, but it breaks down what the law is, why it's in danger, and some of the key points of the new gun safety law. Okay, so that's one thing you can mass produce it and pass it out to people. The next one, it's spread the word to your network elevator pitch. And those are just little tips about how you can, like an elevator pitch, if you don't know, is just like a quick little speech where you say, this is this issue, this is why it's important to me, and so on. But it's quick enough to be, but powerful enough. It's both quick and powerful. So it's quick enough that you could share it with someone in an elevator ride, just going up a few floors. You could get it all out, but it's also effective, and you maybe talk about why the issue is important to you personally. So those are just some thoughts that you can brainstorm if you're, you know, have in your back pocket if you're going to see someone who you think might be interested and who might join you. Okay. And the
Caroline,
last,
we can post a toolkit to our website and we'll share it out with everyone. We can do an
oh,
all member
great.
email with a toolkit and
Okay.
just, offer resources that way. So that may take, until early next week. Let's see, it's Thursday night. So maybe early next week we can get a toolkit on our
Okay.
website that's easy to use.
Okay. Sounds good. And the last thing, if you're more of a writer than a speaker, this is an email template I made that you can share with friends, network, any like-minded people that just to tell them about the campaign and why it's so important. So that's just a letter you can paste into an email and add your name, and it has you can see like the blue hyperlinks that link someone to the gun safety law, and then like it's like a press release from the state. And then there's also like a link to the actual campaign website in there too.
Okay,
Okay.
so back to slides, right?
Back to the slides. I think that's the last
Awesome.
time I'm going to make you go off the slides.
No problem.
Okay. And when I got in touch with the field first person earlier this week, and I told her about this event, and she was pretty excited. And I said, okay, this is what I'm telling people they can do. One, am I missing anything? And two, is there anything that you really want them to know? And this sums up her response. She said, amplify, amplify, amplify. But when she wrote amplify, I think it was bold. There were more exclamation points, so it was obviously very, very important. And I didn't go crazy with the font the way she did. But that's obviously something that the campaign manager wants us to know. So talk with your neighbors, friends, use your social media. And if there's anything in your community, reach out so we can make sure we have boots on the ground. So just we want to get the message out. So, so I guess at this time, are there any questions?
Great. So let's check the chat. That was awesome, Caroline. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was longer than I thought it would
No,
be.
perfect. Perfect.
Um, so
So
thank you for listening so much.
Sue asks, what media is the opposition going to use? Do you mean social media accounts or?
I do know that they have a social media account. I
Mhm.
will admit that I know that they have a website. I will admit that I don't love Googling them because I'm afraid that it's going to mess up my algorithm and that I'll then get stuff that I don't want to see in my feed. But I know that they will be aggressive, and I know they had a lot of yard signs when the bill was in the legislature, and um, I saw them quite a bit in my neck of the woods. But I can try to find out more about what their media is.
Great. Carol asks, is there actual wording yet for the ballot question? I believe
Do you want to
so.
take that one,
It's,
Jen?
yeah,
Okay.
I will confirm the information on the Secretary of State's website, but I believe so. It's basically, do you wish to retain the law? Do you wish to repeal the law? It's basically, and the law is listed out. Um, but I will confirm and follow up in the emails with everyone. Nancy asks, what's the name of the opposition group?
Okay, they are what did I say it was? The Coalition for no, the Civil Rights um
Coalition for Civil Rights, right? Yep.
Coalition for Civil Rights Coalition. And the lead group behind them are, can we mention their name?
Sure.
Okay, it's their acronym is GOAL. It's the Gun Owners Action League. They're sort of like the Massachusetts arm of the NRA, but they're calling themselves the Civil Rights Coalition and using that angle.
Okay, so Donna, I'm unclear on your question. Maybe go into mechanics of pledge cards so people understand they get them filled out and mail them back to the coalition. I think what we're going to do for the league is pledge cards is something we've never done with the league, so I think we could include in a toolkit more explicit directions. That might be the best way to address that. Caroline, if that's okay with you, when we do an all
That's
member
fine with
email and
me.
a toolkit, we could talk about more specifics of the pledge cards.
Mhm. And I think they want, I just kind of quickly showed like the PNG of it, but I don't think they would want us to make our own. It's you're supposed to
Of course.
contact
Yeah,
them, but
of
then they do
course.
get mailed back so that they have your information.
Great. Margaret has her hand up.
Yes, what I wanted to say was too much to type into the chat. When I
Mhm.
first heard about this ballot question, I admit my first response was to vote no because I didn't understand that the ballot question was what it was about. And I think that might be true of other people. I understand better now, thanks to all of you and that. But that I just wanted to share what my initial response was.
I get that, and I'm very glad that the campaign is called the Vote Yes for a Safe MA, and that's what I said. Like in case Zoom crashes, yes.
Yeah.
So that's just make sure
Yeah.
you share that with people. And ballot questions, I'll admit I'm an English major and I get overwhelmed by them, and I'm just so glad that some of them say a yes vote is this, a no vote is this.
Right. With repeals, it's always a vote yes to retain the law as it stands. So if you remember from the driver's license repeal effort, it was vote yes to maintain the law. For 2018, it was vote yes on three for transgender rights to retain the civil rights legislation. So repeal referenda are always vote yes to retain the law. So it is a little different than your standard ballot question because it's a repeal of a current law. So the rules are a little different. But I agree, as long as we can get the message, vote yes, that's the key for sure. And Nancy mentioned, the information on ballot, giving too much of your personal information on a pledge card. I agree with you, Nancy, on that. I'd want to do a little more research before I'm asking league members to use the postcards. I agree with you. I want to do a little more research on that before we're advertising postcards. We worked on that for the Safe Communities Act campaign, also the pledge cards over the years, and I didn't find them useful in that space, but I'm not sure how useful they are on repeal referenda. But we'll research it and be in touch with the steering committee and answer everyone's questions for sure. Carol?
Oh, yes. Hi. Um, Sometimes I think when we're talking with friends informally, it's almost better not to say vote yes on the repeal referendum, because exactly what Margaret said is exactly what I'm running into. And so whenever I talk informally, I always say it's a vote yes to uphold our law, to protect our
Mm-hmm.
law, and don't
Mm-hmm.
even mention repeal in the same breath, you know, because it's just too confusing. And for people who are not geeks about, repeal referendums, I just think it's clearer to say
Vote yes
it's
to uphold the law. Yes,
yeah,
yes.
right.
That's what all the slides say and the toolkit will say.
Good. Yeah, good.
Uh, but yes, when the state league's issuing a statement about ballot questions, we do have to be specific to our membership about the types of
Yeah.
ballot questions, because that is what
Yes,
our
I know.
membership is needs to know. But you're
Yeah,
totally right. Vote yes to uphold the law the was the language that everyone used for the last two. Yes, I'm going to say it, repeal referenda. So yes, vote yes to
good.
uphold the law. Perfect.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Vote, the driver's license bill was yes, vote yes to retain the law, uphold the law. Exactly.
Right.
I think that's almost, we're in like a word pretzel, but yes, though that's
Yeah.
the accurate language, of course.
Yeah.
Great. Any more questions for Caroline? Well, let's give it up for Caroline. Thank you. Amazing.
Thank
Awesome
you.
job. Thank you,
Thank you.
Caroline. Thank you for all your work. And thanks everyone for attending tonight. This is great.
Thank
It
you
was
so
great to see all
much.
of you. Okay, stay tuned for a toolkit and follow up. Okay, good night, everyone. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye.